Yo, what's good everybody? Hope y'all doing well. In this video, I'm going to be showing y'all the formula to making dark beats. I'm going to be breaking down the entire formula from making the sample, adding the drums and everything. So to get all the gems, be sure to stick all the way to the end. And with all that being said, let's just jump right into it. All right, so we got our blank FOP right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is go up to the tempo. I'm going to make this somewhere in the range of 160s. So for this, I'll choose a tempo of 165. The first thing I'm going to grab is a bell or key type of sound, something that's kind of shorter and melodic. I'm going to open up Electra. My other preferred VSTs are Analog Lab and Omnisphere. So I'm going to go to this HZE bank and I'm going to just try out some of the bell sounds and the key sounds and just see if I find something I like. All right, I'm liking this. Got that ambient type of sound. It's also a little bit detuned. Having something that's a little bit detuned is gonna help make that dark vibe just because it's gonna clash a little bit more with all the other sounds. All right, so before I put down any melodies or anything, I'm gonna open up a blank sampler channel. I'm gonna go to the piano roll. For this beat, I'm gonna use a key of C sharp minor to start. So I'm gonna go up to the stamp tool here, this little circle with 3 lines. Click on it and I'm gonna go to minor natural and I'm gonna place this down on C sharp 4 and extend this 4 measures, and I'm gonna shift click to copy this up. I'm gonna place the next note on C sharp 5, do it one more time, place it on C sharp 6, and now what you want to do is count up to the 7th note in your scale or one below the root note of the next octave, and you want to delete it. In my experience of making dark beats, I very rarely use the 7th note in the scale. The 7th note in the scale is usually better for melodic types of beats. If you want to keep it, you can. I personally rarely to never use it, so I'm just gonna delete it. And now we're gonna be left with the first 6 notes in the scale in our ghost notes. So let's go back to Electra and start laying down our pattern. For dark beats, you really wanna focus on these notes that are right next to each other, or in other words, a half step apart. These are gonna create a lot of tension, and that's really gonna help you get that dark sound. So I'm just gonna start off by playing with either G sharp and A or D sharp and E and just going from there. As you can see, we're using these notes that are right next to each other up here with E and D sharp, or the 2nd and 3rd notes in the scale. For dark beats, the easiest thing is to get a little idea like this and just make it really repetitive and just make slight changes here and there. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna copy it over using Control B and fill out the remaining 3 measures. And I'm just gonna go through and just make little adjustments here and there. And then from there, we'll have our final pattern. All right, so like I said, just a couple minor adjustments, make it really simple. I think we're just gonna keep that for now and just move on to the next sound. All right, so now I want something that's a little bit more ambient, probably something like a synth or a pad. Honestly, I'm liking where this is going with this bank, so I'm just gonna find another sound and we'll just start from the pads and go from there. I'm liking this, it's a little unique. And with this, I'm just gonna put down a pretty basic counter melody. The reason I wanted a pad or a synth is because I wanted something that was gonna decay longer and also just sound better at higher pitches. Before I do anything else, I'm going to extend everything to 8 measures because I want to have a switch up in my counter melody. So I'm just gonna take everything and highlight it and hit Control B to copy it over. And with this, all I'm gonna do is just switch these notes right here and move this down to F sharp. And again, similar to the original melody, you can see I'm really leaning heavy onto these notes that are sitting next to each other. All right, so this is cool, but I think I could use a different sound that'll probably suit this a little better. So what I'm gonna do is route these to a mixer track using Control Shift L, and I think I'm just gonna put a little bit of effects for texture purposes on these, and we'll go through and add a couple more melodies after that. All right, so on this first one, I'm probably gonna put on some RC20 and just see how it sounds, see if I can get interesting texture out of it. And for our counter melody, I want to give this something a little bit more aggressive, like Portal. Portal is really good for adding textures and stuff like that. So I'd recommend, if you want to make your sound a lot different, use Portal. And I'm just going to try out some of these banks. From here, I'm gonna go ahead and add a low piano. You can add pretty much any low instrument you want. The two most common ones that I've heard are piano and brass. Those two are your best bet in my opinion. So I'm gonna go to the key section in my resonance multi-kit, and I'm just gonna grab this low one shot. So with this, pretty much with what we're implying with the scale here, we just want to put it down on the root note and just keep it real simple. And for this bass note, I want to add a little switch up at the end. The most common ones for dark beats are going to the 6th beat in the scale. So in this case, it would be A, or going to the 5th note in the scale, in this case, G sharp. And then we got the third option, which is becoming a little bit more common, which is just going 1/2 step above the root note. Even though it's technically not within the scale, it still fits with the rest of the beat. Honestly, up to you. You could just leave it plain as is. For now, I'm gonna leave it like this, and if I go back and change it, I'll show you. I'm gonna add this to the mixer and level it out just real quick. What we got is pretty good. The last thing I want to add is an accent, just so we can fill out the sound a little more. And then after that, we'll move on to our drums. All right, so I'm gonna grab this accent from my new multi-kit that I'm working on. Conveniently, I'm dropping this in. It's already time stretched. I don't gotta worry about none of that. It's already stretched to 165 beats per minute. And so what I'm gonna do is change this mode to stretch, and I'm gonna change this until it matches the key of our sample. The melodies are currently at C sharp minor, and our accent is at D sharp minor. So if you just count it down on the piano roll, we just got to move it down 2. So I'm gonna go to the pitch wheel and move this down 200 cents. I'm just gonna go ahead and level this relative to the rest of the sample. I think I'm gonna go ahead and put down an EQ and pretty much cut out anything below the mids. All right, so I'm liking what I hear on the sample. I might go back and change a couple of the melodies, but let's get started on the drums. And for this, I'm literally just gonna use the most basic trap drums possible. I'm not gonna use anything special, nothing like that. First order of business on the drums, I'm gonna go to the 808, put the hold all the way up. We're gonna go to the snares, put one down right here, right in the middle of the measure, and then go ahead and copy it for the remainder. Next, we're gonna go to the hi-hats, right click on them and hit fill each 2 steps. And then from here, I'm just gonna go through and lay down some 808s. So just looking at our piano roll here and the ghost notes, we can see our root note is C sharp. Pretty much most, if not all of the notes for the 808 are going to be on C sharp. I might change it up a little bit and throw a couple notes on G sharp or the octave of C sharp. All right, so I'm just gonna copy this over, and I'm probably just gonna trim out a couple notes here and there. So probably something like this, and then I'll move this back down to C sharp. Let's get a little preview of what the 808 sounds like. All right, so now let's go through and fill out our snares and open hat. I'm gonna call a quick little audible on this 808. Since the last piano note's going up to D, I'm gonna add one more note right here and move it up 1/2 step. So now I'm gonna go to my hi-hats and do the same thing. I'm gonna go get the 1/3 step snap to grid, get the paintbrush tool, and just do my thing. For the open hats, I just want this to accent the 808 hits a little bit. I think I'm just gonna place it down right here. I'm gonna put this right before, so I don't want it to hit exactly on it, so it kind of hits quickly in sequence. And I think I'm just gonna keep this pattern for the other half of it too. I'm gonna just put this in context with the drums for y'all. Now what I'm gonna do is route all these to the mixer track and just level them out real quick. Alright, so I like what I got going so far. So what I'm gonna do is go up to pattern 1 here, and I'm gonna right click on it and hit split by channel. And then from here, so I'm gonna select the top one, hold shift, click, and it'll highlight all of these. And I'm just gonna drag and drop it into the playlist, and then go ahead and hit control click, drag, select all these and delete them. And then same thing with the sampler, we don't really need it anymore, so we could delete it. And now we're pretty much left with all the little pieces of our beat, all the components. The last thing I want to do, which is pretty quick and also essential to the flow of the beat, is I want to make a second version of this first Electro X track. Shift click it over, and then I'm gonna hit Shift V and then left click on it, and that'll create a new pattern. If you don't have that feature yet, you can just click on the top left and hit make unique instead. It does the same exact thing. So I'm gonna double click on this and hit control up, and now we'll have the same exact original melody, just an octave higher. Now I'm gonna do is just arrange it, and this should be fairly quick. It shouldn't be too much. So the structure for this beat is gonna be intro, hook, verse, bridge, hook, verse, and just kind of repeat that hook, verse, bridge thing until we get to about like 2.5 minutes. I want to start off the beat just having this low Electro X first. And I'm probably gonna put it with the accent just so it fills the space out a little more. And I'm gonna turn the accent volume down just a tiny bit. And then the rest of it's gonna come in. This is gonna be my hook, where I have all the sounds. And I'll probably take this counter out for the second. And right after this, I'm gonna bring back the low thing with the accent. Now we're in the verse. And then the verse is gonna switch back to the high pitch melody. And now I'm just gonna take this whole thing, copy it over again. I wanna go through and adjust the drums a little bit. So I don't want this open hat hitting on every single one. So I'm just gonna go through, probably cut like half of this out, and I'm gonna go through and cut out some of these snare rolls just so they don't get too repetitive. And this is just to keep the beat a little bit interesting so it doesn't get too repetitive, but you do want to make this easy to rap on top of. So for example, you don't want to cut the drums out too much. And that's pretty much it for the arrangement. Last thing I'm gonna do is just throw my tag on. That's about it. All right, that's gonna do it for me. Thank you for watching all the way through the video. Recently, I was going through my channel analytics and I found about 90% of y'all aren't subscribed to the channel. So if you do enjoy these types of content, I got a new video that drops every Sunday. So be sure to click that subscribe button if you're interested. And that's gonna do it for me. I appreciate y'all's support and I'll see you on the next video.
Roll up, Tess.